we bought a greenhouse for our flower farm. Welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie from the Farmhouse Mom, and in episode 2 of our Lavender Farm series, I'm going to share with you all the hard work we've been doing over the last 2 weeks and show you our progress on our greenhouse. I'm going to give you a complete tour of what we've done so far. I'm going to share with you the footage of us putting it up.
We decided to put the greenhouse in front of the lavender square. This area down here is the flattest part on our property. The rest of our property is pretty hilly with a lot of trees, but we have several acres, probably 5 to 6 open acres, nice flat land. And so it made sense to put it there in front of the lavender square as guests come in. We will have the greenhouse there where hopefully we'll be selling lavender and flowers and vegetables. And so they can go in there and look at the plants before they go in or after they're through with their yoga class. And then also, I know this sounds really silly, but I noticed for my goat yoga classes, people love to take pictures, and you don't want a lot of cars in the background. You want it to be beautiful and scenic. So this greenhouse hoop will have flowers in front of it, and then also it will block any parking, so you won't see any cars parked there. And as I'm looking at this footage, I realized just how much my husband loves me. We had 100-degree weather this weekend, and he, with a sledgehammer, hand drove 22 4-foot posts into the Missouri rock and clay. That was the hardest part, not just the physical exertion. Obviously, that was really difficult for him, but keeping it level. As we go down and we hit rocks, it's really easy for it to move from side to side. And if you look at the finished product, the posts are not going to be 100% level, but we're hoping that since it is a plastic greenhouse, that there's a little bit of give when we go to cover it. So when you purchase a greenhouse kit, it's a lot more budget friendly than a greenhouse that's already put together, obviously, because you're putting a lot of labor into it. And so we certainly put a lot of labor into it. And when we went to go pick it up from the person that we bought it from, it was already at this stage. So they had posts in the ground and they had the hoops up. They didn't have the plastic on or anything like that. So my husband drove about an hour away and he had to pull the posts up and load everything up. So we had to dismantle it a little bit. And so we had an idea of how it was supposed to look when we put it on our property. So we got the post dug in, and then we assembled the hoop, and we lined it up, and we were able to put a screw in to hold it. So you're not going to believe the deal that I got in this. I know if you watch the channel, you know that I love bargain shopping. But the reason that we got such a great deal on it is the original purchaser of this kit, they had it on their property here for 2 or 3 years, and it was just at this stage. And my husband asked them as he was picking it up, why are you selling it in a polite way? And they just said they are done with homesteading, that it is a lot of work. And that is a key component that I think people don't get from YouTube videos. So I'm trying to show you exactly how hard this is and how much work it really is to have your homestead, to have animals. The typical homesteader lasts about 7 years and then they move on. We are at 8 or 9 years now, so we've passed the hump. And you really need to know if your personality works with having your own land and having a homestead, because this is what you do on the weekends. You do a lot of work on the farm. We happen to love it.
We got this 10 by 40 foot greenhouse off of Facebook Marketplace. So the original kit came from Bootstrap Farmer, and I looked up the price of this if I were to purchase this from their website, and I believe it's $840. This type of greenhouse kit comes with a plastic and screws, and there's a little railing system, and then everything else you have to purchase on your own when you buy one of these greenhouse kits. So all of the 2x4s and, you know, obviously the galvanized steel posts, everything that you need, you purchase yourself. And that total came to about $1,500. I put it all in the Lowe's cart, and it was about $1,500. Well, we got all of that for $500. So if you watch my channel, you know that my husband and I are working hard to be debt free. And so I really thought long and hard about making this purchase, this additional $500, and buying something that really we weren't thinking about getting yet, but I saw this great deal and I knew that it would be fantastic for the flower farm. So if you look at those hoops back there, those are galvanized steel posts from a chain link fence. And so you have to purchase, I believe it was 26 that they purchased. You have to purchase the galvanized steel, and then they give you a little hoop bender. I'm hoping the traffic is not too loud. We have some houses being built down our road. So this is the hoop bender that you bend these posts with. And so the people who purchased it bent 4 too many posts. And so if you look at these are a little crooked here.
So we thought about going and buying straight posts. That would have been an additional $100. So everything we got, the original person had already purchased. So we got the whole $2,400 kit for $500. So we just decided to straighten them ourselves, and I think it's gonna work.
And so clearly they're supposed to be straight, and then they will go there on the top, and then that's what's going to be clamped, and that will help give the frame some stability. There also is cedar that we're going to put along the bottom part for the little kind of kickboards, and we also have to frame in a back and then a front with a front door and everything, and then we'll put the plastic up. So that's where we're at this point. So if you look here behind me, here's our little lavender square that we've been working on, and we detailed a lot more of that in the first episode of this series. So my little lavender plants are holding up strong, and my hardworking son has been taking all of our compost and filling in the lavender square.
One thing that we have not had to purchase so far is dirt. Because we have goats and because we use straw and lime and wood chips and wood pellets in their bedding, every time we clean the barn, we put this in front in a big compost pile, and it cooks in the sun. And so that is quite a few years of compost that we have there. And we were able to borrow a tractor from a neighbor, and we decided to move it to the back where the chickens are, so the chickens can help us a little bit more. They can turn it for us. And so far, we don't have to purchase any soil for the lavender square.
So let me kind of show you around what we have so far, and then what I hope in the future it's going to look like. So this is the area down our driveway that you drive down, and then that's my goat yoga barn. And here, you can't see it very well, but that's where we do goat yoga. And then we have this really large area that's just our farm stuff, so don't mind that. Actually, we also have about $1,500 worth of lumber that I got. Somebody was giving away a free privacy fence. So I'm really hoping that I can use that privacy fence. And you know, around a greenhouse or a farm, there's always kind of just like junk and dirt and, you know, pots and things that you need to kind of keep tidy. So I'm hoping that free privacy fence that we got, I'm hoping to kind of use that around the area. So we'll have some parking here, and then maybe it's a 6-foot privacy fence, but maybe we'll cut it down to 4 or 5 feet. I'm not sure, but that's what that is doing here. And that will be a beautiful greenhouse, and I'm wanting to put flowers all along that to make it look pretty. And I think what will make it doubly beautiful is it's right by our beautiful creek. We've got so much beautiful elderberry and It's a little hard to see the creek water. We have had so much rain. Once the vegetation kind of gets going, it's hard to see the creek, but unless you're down in it. But we have a beautiful spring-fed creek that runs along the entire property. So we'll have the creek area, and then we'll have our greenhouse and then our lavender square. So let's walk down to the lavender square. So this will be our beautiful greenhouse. And then this will be our lavender square, and just imagine these big lavender bushes here. And I put this down. I'm not sure I'm gonna keep it. My husband thought that maybe it should be grass, but I just thought there would be so much wear. I went ahead and put some gravel down. Our little lavender plants are doing fantastic. And I know by next spring it's just going to be so pretty, but we have just such a gorgeous field here for our lavender square. And then we already have water here. So there's a little water pump there. And then I'll try to turn you around without getting too dizzy. We already have a lavender pump here because this is where we used to live when we first moved to the property. We had a 426 square foot tiny house. So we already have electrical run here. We already have water. So it's going to be so nice just to be able to have all of this infrastructure, a little bit anyway, here for the farm. And then what I'm hoping is this beautiful big space that we see behind us is I'm hoping this fall will be able to get nice big long rows of flower beds that I can get prepared in the fall, and then hopefully plant some perennials and plant some annuals in the spring. But it's really just the perfect spot. I can't believe we used to have our goats down here, but we've worked really hard at getting it really nice and beautiful. And it's just so open and so pretty, and we also get quite a bit of shade here in the evening. And so I'm sure that I can have a yoga class by like 6 or 6:30, and we won't have quite so much sun, but yet enough sun that the lavender plants will get all that they need. We also had 2 baby goats born on the farm this weekend, a little boy and a little girl, and they are doing great. I hope you're enjoying my lavender series, and I hope you stick with me to see episode 3 next week. I try to upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. We had some illnesses, and with all the rain, things got really busy on the farm. And then last week, my husband needed me to be out here helping with the greenhouse, so I could not say no. So my house and my YouTube schedule and everything got thrown off, but that is life. And on that point, I just want to say thank you for being here, and this is how I'm going to do my channel from now on. I'm just going to show you what we're doing. A lot of times I get really stressed out when I'm making a video because I feel like I have to like come up with something interesting, or maybe I'll make a soap video when I'm not organically making soap. You know, I'll make soap 2 to 3 times a year to sell down at our festival down at our small town, but I'm not making it all the time. There's an entire economy around YouTube and making like the perfect thumbnail and the perfect title, and I have tried doing that and it stresses me out so much. So what's really funny is the latest advice that I've got from different people is like, make it mysterious so people get really intrigued and then they have to click on it. And I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be out here in a white sundress like drinking milk fresh from the cow. That's exhausting to me, probably because I'm turning 50 next month. But this is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just going to share what I'm actually doing, and if we get super busy on the farm, I might miss a week or 2. And that's another thing that they really pressure you about YouTube is if you're not regular and if you're not there all the time making content all the time, then the algorithm will completely just kind of like drop you and then not show your videos to anyone. So I am removing that stress from my life. I really love making YouTube videos. It's so fun and it's so creative, and I have been a fitness teacher for a long time, for over 20 years, and it's just what I enjoy doing. I just kind of enjoy sharing things that I'm excited about and maybe teaching a little bit. And so what I'm hoping to teach and share in this series is, one, you don't have to be an heiress or have, millions or even thousands and thousands of dollars to start a business. So I started my yoga studio with just, I believe it was a couple $1,000s off of one of my credit cards, and I put in a floor, and I got a couple of clients before I opened the yoga studio, and I just jumped in and started it. So if you are thinking about starting a business, maybe this will encourage you a little bit. You don't have to have tons of money to start a business. You can start really small, and it may start out very humble, and it may just take a few years to develop into your dream that you want it to be. And some people don't have to take as long. Some people have the finances and time and other resources that they can immediately implement a business. And a lot of people don't. So if you are one of those a lot of people, then hopefully this inspires you to get started. And so for the summer, I will be doing quite a few videos on our lavender farm. So we'll have quite a few episodes in our series. And of course, I'm going to continue with my Friday finds. In a way, I feel like this is a Friday find video because we got such a good deal on this greenhouse. So for $500 to have such a huge greenhouse, I'm so excited and so thrilled. I can't wait to get the plastic on and to get our lavender starts going. And I also am going to be growing a bunch of pumpkins for the fall. So that was kind of the deal that I made with my husband, is if we could just take the $500 out of our, our little coffee can savings that we keep for the farm, I know I can grow enough pumpkins to pay off this greenhouse for $500. So that's what the immediate plans are for this year. We are going to get our lavender starts going. So hundreds and hundreds of little lavender plants. We already have about 10 or 12 mature plants that are really beautiful that we can work off of. And then we have about 65 lavender plants here in the ground. And then we will be having even more lavender, both to plant and to sell for the spring. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I will see you for Friday, because I already have a Friday Vines video halfway filmed. So it will be ready for you. And I hope you have a great week. We'll see you soon.